happy to answer any questions and do my best to actually avoid answering them. we do have media in the room from around the country. This is part of my life. So if you ask a question, state your name, who you're affiliated with. I find that usually ends up having people pose a question with a question mark at the end. And that's very, very helpful. Just realize that you're going to be recorded for national media. But don't be inhibited. Seriously, yes, sir.
Joe Alessi, American Financial Services. After having 7 quarters of GDP expansion, such as it is it really possible to have a double-dip recession?
It's always possible to have anything. And again, we're paid to think about all probabilities and possibilities. I think it's highly unlikely. I do think, as I said earlier, that the pace of growth will pick up in the second half of this year and in the third quarter. There certainly is enough liquidity to make it possible. Again, it's a matter of confidence. If our leaders in the political sphere are able to reach some kind of affirming decision, the great decision they have to make on the debt ceiling, and then where we're going to go and provide confidence for the future. And let me add, they're going to be seriously scrutinized because the people are now very wary about false promises. And if growth in the rest of the world continues, and we've been quite successful in selling into it, then I think confidence rises over time. It feeds on itself. The whole key to driving our economy is to get consumption back up. Consumption is driven by employment. We have too many people unemployed in our country. You use the word such as it is, which I think is a good phrase. It's going to be a slow process. I see the momentum continuing in a positive direction. And I also see, frankly, our own example here in Texas as providing encouragement to others that it will move in a positive direction. So it is a risk, what we call a tail risk in economic speak. I don't give it much probability or possibility. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jason Shecker, Prestige Economics. My question is, you've said, and we've heard stated, that there could be stronger growth in the second half of the year. You said you wouldn't be surprised to be around 4%. Some of that's because commodity prices have come down. How do you reconcile that with the fact that as we get more growth in the United States, global growth is expected to be 4.3% this year, and there are supply side concerns from both the IEA and from OPEC members? How do you reconcile the lower prices that will give us more growth with the fact that more growth will give us higher prices?
Well, Jason, that's a good question. You have to, I think, distill out what has been speculative activity versus real economic activity. It's not clear how much weight can be attributed to either or both. I personally feel that easy money policy has exacerbated speculative activity. When you have too much money in your pocket, it burns a hole in your pocket. You reach for yield. And at the same time, it's not clear to me from the data how much has been driving, for example, the run-up in the price of oil that is real demand. How much is created, for example, by consumption demands in China. Also on food as they move up the protein ladder and so on. So I do think it's possible to have both. It depends on how you differentiate things out. I don't think the sell-off in oil prices has to do with just the pace of this economy. I think markets overshoot. You're in the business. You'll be embarrassed by my saying this, but I used to be in the business. Markets are manic depressive mechanisms. We all know that. They're in the business. And they overshoot. And so you can have a reconciliation between the two because markets overshoot on the upside and the downside. I think the important thing is to get the economy growing again. And the other thing is, once we get the economy growing again, it's our job to de-accommodate monetary policy. And if we do our job and we exit properly from the significant monetary accommodation we provide, then I don't think we will create those kind of price pressures or be party to those price pressures. I want to tell you, I can't wait for that moment. Then I can be a hawk all over again. Because right now we have all this excess liquidity. The question is, it's not being multiplied through the economy. We have a huge monetary base. It's not multiplying its way through job creation. I'm looking forward to that day. And then we can shrink our balance sheet, get back to normalized monetary policy, and it'll be a great day when that happens. Hope it happens soon. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, my name is Doug Laws. I'm retired and a member of SCORE. I'd be interested in your comments regarding our looming debt ceiling crisis that's coming up.
Good luck, Congress. This is a political matter. I'm outspoken on both Republicans and Democrats have dug a hole so deep they're burying our children and our grandchildren. I don't care what party you belong to. You're both at fault. It's disgraceful. It's happened generation after generation after generation. So I don't blame any single president, but I can tell you that whether you are a D or an R, you're responsible if you've been in the Congress. Stop it. Grow up. Save my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. And we have to fund the unfunded liabilities, which we at the Dallas Fed estimate, for example, if you just take Medicare and Social Security alone, by our numbers, we believe at the Dallas Fed that the promises that have been made to the American people in just those two programs alone, if you apply a discount rate factor to get to its present value today, exceeds $100 trillion. Unfunded. How could anybody responsible have done that to our children? So very tough decisions are going to have to be made. It's not just balancing the budget. And by the way, they have to do it in a way that doesn't push the economy into the double dip. So they've got a very tough job ahead of them. I happen to view the last election as a landmark election, I hope, in this country. There are 80 or so new members that seem to be pretty tough-minded. I think many of the experienced members who have served for quite some time on both sides of the aisle have finally woken up. I'm happy to see this discussion take place between the executive branch and the leadership in the Congress. And I think the American people are going to demand it. Otherwise, I believe the American people will conclude that it's just, even with 80 new members, it's old wine and new bottles. And then we're going to have a real problem on our hands. So my job is not to tell them how to do it. I'm not on that side of the fence. I'm on the monetary side. I do know what will make it worse. And that is if we print the money that allows them to wiggle out of their obligations. And I'm a very strong believer, and I say it over and over again, that that's the road to Argentina, to Greece, to Weimar Germany, to nationalist China, and I won't go there. And I hope our politicians understand the Fed has done enough. Now it's up to them to make the tough decisions they have to make. And God bless them.
Thank you.
For an old man, you look pretty good. See you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Bowie.
Mr. Fisher, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your remarks, for your time today here in the Austin Round Rock area. It's great to have you with us. Want to encourage you to come to future events, Round Rock Chamber. Visit our website at roundrockchamber.org. Thank you for coming. Have a great rest of the week.